Howdy Earthlings, Squirm has been out for a while, but I finally have him for myself and got some playtime with him. He's definitely the cutest Toon, tied with Pebble, but he's also the fastest extraction in the game currently. But there is a bit of a catch. Let's get into that. With 3 health, 3 skill, 3 movement, 2 stamina, 2 stealth, and 5 extract, Squirm is an incredibly well-rounded and balanced out Toon. This is a pretty much ideal stat lineup, except many people would prefer him to lose a stat and something to make stealth better. But since most people play with a distractor, I don't think 2-star stealth is that big of a concern. In terms of extracting, his stats make him just like Yada, and only 1 skill check behind V. Skill check is good and all, but since skill checks pop up at random intervals and good players can hit anything above 1 star, it's not a super important stat. Extract speed has much more of an influence over the speed of extraction, and even with mag and participation award, I can still easily land his checks, so the 1 less point doesn't make much of a difference. His stamina is low, but when everyone plays with a distractor, it's kind of a pointless stat. Squirm's ability is where he stands out as an extractor though. Distressed Delicacy has us hold down the ability key to do a book eating animation. Once finished, the ability goes on a cooldown of about 80 seconds. For the next 10 seconds, Squirm gets a 100% boost to extraction speed. This takes his extraction speed from 28 seconds like V down to something closer to 15 seconds. Aside from V-Mote, there isn't a faster way to extract currently, making Squirm the fastest one, in a bubble. But there are other factors at play. It takes several seconds to eat a book. Then once it's on cooldown, it's unusable for 65 seconds after you finish the machine. That means for about 65 seconds, he's back to his normal speed, which is slightly slower than V. You can walk up to a bookshelf to eat books and reduce cooldown speed by twice as much, taking 32 seconds to get Delicacy back. But during this time, you're doing nothing. This is a similar issue to Brusha. When Brusha is using her ability, it removes a player from the game with very little reward. It would be better to play some other extractor, or for Brusha to go work on a different machine. Debatedly, you'd just be better replacing Brusha with a different character on your team. She kinda holds the game back. Squirm can't move from the bookshelf if he wants his ability back sooner, which means staring at a wall for 30 seconds. That's honestly kind of bad game design. You're not only removing a player from the game, but you're making them watch paint dry as a mechanic. Squirm is far from bad, one of the best. I'm just saying the bookshelf thing has a value primarily as a character or a lore thing and has little value from a mechanical standpoint, and what we're playing is a video game. If I wanted to play lore, I'd read the Wikipedia. A player will assume the most valuable use of their time is eating bookshelves, when in reality, by the time they find another machine, their cooldown will be back. Even if one machine is directly next to them, it would still be faster and a more efficient use of their time to do that rather than waiting for a cooldown. If you're going to use the bookshelf cooldown, I suggest you do so as you're walking past the shelves for a slight boost as you go. Otherwise, you're wasting time that could be spent doing another machine. Squirm has the same problem as Brusha, but he makes up for it by being a faster extractor, even without his abilities. But the bookshelves do take him out of the game, just like Brusha. So like Brusha, don't bother standing around doing nothing. Go do another machine. I'm not saying play a different character like I am with Brusha, because Squirm is still a great character outside of his ability and outside of his passive ability. But his passive ability does have the Brusha problem. And the time it takes the bookshelf to cool down, you would be done with another machine. Now, interestingly, Squirm is a main in all but name and health. His ability is technically 2. It's an active and a passive ability, but he has 3 health. So he is on par with some of the mains, and some may find him to be better than other mains. Sure, his extraction speed is the fastest in the game right now, but V is still the best recon character in the game. She highlights Twisted and Machine, still making her a must for every team. Characters with V modes will also be faster than Squirm, but as a 3rd or 4th extractor, Squirm is the best. In solo situations, V will likely be the better choice as well. She's consistently fast and her ability makes survival easier, giving more utility that a solo scenario would require. Squirm's Trinket. When you get 100% research on Twisted Squirm, you unlock the Stress Ball. Squirm is apparently so stressed out that he's destroyed it and the insides are coming out. Stress Ball is a very dynamic and interesting trinket. Many of the trinkets in Dandy's world are either straight up good or useless, kind of with no in between. Ball is heavily going to depend on the individual Toons using it. It increases your extraction speed by 5% when completing a skill check with the buff lasting 15 seconds. The buff stack too, meaning with luck and good timing, you'll be able to get up to a 20% speed increase, which doesn't sound like much, but 1-star Toons will be faster than 2 and 3-star Toons if done perfectly. With a 5-star extract Toon, it would bring machine time to less than 25 seconds. That's not accounting for participation award to up the frequency or magnifying glass to make them more valuable. With magnifying glass, you're going to be much faster, but with the reduced skill check size, you're making it less likely to maintain a streak. So while it sounds great for 5-star extract Toons, it lacks consistency outside of Toons with high enough skill check. I recommend it for characters like Shelly or ideally V. Since they have higher skill check, they can use use Magnifying Glass or Participation Award with Stress Ball without making checks too much harder. Basically, I'm just saying don't use it with Squirm. Use it with 4-star skill check or higher. Either way, with just 2 slots and the community's dependency on V-Mote, I don't think people will find the Stress Ball worth it. It'll also take some testing to find out which combo Trinkets makes it the fastest. Ball on its own isn't going to make a huge difference, so we need to find out if Ball and Part or Ball and Mag are better. Even then, people aren't going to like not using V-Mote. Trinkets. For Trinkets, we have some options for extractors. You might think that you want to use the same thing as always, Magnifying Glass and V-Mode, or Mag Glass and Part Award, and you'd be right. Although, I don't think you need V-Mode. I think he's fast enough on his own that Mag Glass and Part Award are good enough on their own. But V-Mode would make runs faster if you're able to get to machines sooner than others. My problem with V-Mode is that if you're not the first to get to machines, you're kind of stuck with a useless Trinket slot until some folks die off. You can do whatever you want though. Improvements. Squirm is a nearly perfect character, but his passive to eat bookshelves to reduce cooldown is a little bad. It takes a player out of the game, which means it would be better if you ignored it for the most part. If I were to rework this passive, I would create a book item that only Squirm can use. He pulls it from the shelf when on cooldown and eats it, giving him a temporary cooldown buff, kind of like a candy. This would mean you would hop from bookshelf to bookshelf as you're looking for the next machine, rather than standing at one waiting for delicacy to come back. This means that the Squirm player wouldn't be taken out of the game and expected to watch paint dry while still having the spirit of the original passive. Some players may choose to stay at the bookshelf and wait for the book's cooldown to end, so let the bookshelf only give 1 book per Squirm to get around that. I think using it as an item is just a much better way to do it. And there could be really interesting ways to animate it that still, work with a lore kind of thing. You can make it so that he pulls a giant encyclopedia out, like some really big book, and that he's munching on it over time as you walk to the next location, like he's snacking as he's walking. Unlocking Squirm, getting research. Squirm's Twisted is representing a bit of a problem with how encounters are designed in Dandy's world. Since everything is done with flat values, which translates into percentages, I explained that in my video on how to get Squirm quickly, but basically, it's a lot of math. Each rarity of Toon is given a value. When that value is rolled for a Twisted slot, it decides what rarity. Then another roll decides the specific Twisted in that rarity. Since there's only a value of 8 for rare Twisted and that rate never increases, it becomes increasingly difficult to find Twisted Squirm, or any other rare Twisted. It becomes increasingly difficult because the main Twisted values increase every 5 floors, so as main values climb, rare, uncommon, and common stay the same. When a Toon is added to anything other than the main's rarity, it makes the chances to get that Twisted harder and harder too. When a new Twisted is added, the values aren't increased, meaning the odds to get him are lower than the previous rares. For example, before Squirm there were 6 rare Twisted. The rare value is 8. There is a 16% chance of getting any one rare Twisted once the rare rarity is rolled. When Squirm is added, we have 7 rare, meaning there is a 14% chance of getting a specific rare. That might not sound that bad, but getting a rare is already only a 7.41% chance at the highest, meaning before Squirm's release, it was over a 1% chance per rare, and now it's closer to exactly 1, but with that going down every 5 floors. Basically what I'm saying is that with each new non-main Toon added to the game, the chance of getting a specific character to show up is less and less, especially when holidays come in, and that also waters down the pool. This game already has a lot of Toons. I'm not saying that there should be less, I'm saying that the math on how they're selected needs to be changed and updated. Rare and uncommon rates should go up with floors too, or there needs to be occasional floors where it always has the same Twisted. I think everyone who's tried to get Squirm over the past couple of days can agree that RNG has too much of an influence. And bad news, with each new character, that's going to get worse, unless changes are made. Overall, I love Squirm. He's my favorite character now. I love the fat representation. Bobbette has a little chub going on, but one might be convinced it's just a large puffy Christmas sweater. But there's no denying it. Squirm is a chunky lad, and I love him for it. The game never says his gluttony is bad, and it doesn't shame him for it as far as I've seen, but he does use it as a coping mechanism, which isn't healthy. But I think everyone loves him because of how relatable he is. He's nervous, anxious, stressed. It's relatable, and that he copes with bad habits makes him feel all that much more human. Dandy's world is known for having cool character design, but this is the best so far. Despite being a bug, he's the most human-like character there is. That's not even mentioning the incredible centaur-like design. You rarely see that in video games. I think his design is perfect, 5 out of 5. I don't think it could be better for what you're trying to do. His Twisted is incredibly designed too, and both are a perfect example of showing off what the new backend changes are capable of. Now, design and gameplay are 2 different things though. Your favorite Toon can still be bad at the game. Squirm is great though, he's practically flawless. The only thing holding him back is being tied down to bookshelves between machines. It's optional, I know, but his passive is there for a reason. They intended for us to use it. They thought we would play like this. So by this game's design, it's telling me the devs think it's a good idea for me to stand in front of a bookshelf for 30 seconds every floor. They think that I, as a player, should be removed from the game for a bit each floor. This isn't any different from Brush's ability design, except Brusha doesn't need to stand there for 30 seconds. Most extractors are done by then. So I think currently Squirm is a 3.5 out of 5 on gameplay. His ability is cool, but you have to wait for it to activate, then wait at bookshelves to restore it. That's not fun. 30 seconds a floor might not seem like that much, but by floor 30, you've wasted 15 minutes of your life staring at a bookshelf. Speaking of which, add a skip shop button to the elevator that requires everyone to click it, so we aren't wasting a minute in every single elevator. A third of a run's time comes from waiting in the elevator. Either way, Squirm isn't just a Toon. He represents a big change coming in Dandy's world. If this is the kind of stuff they can do with the backend update, imagine how much crazier things will get when they've had more time with the new system. Squirm is just the beginning, but he is definitely a tough act to follow, and I'm excited for what's next. But that's not for a while yet. Thanks for watching, and thanks to the supporters on Patreon and members on YouTube like Gezro, Am, Nebazit, Aspirin Artist, Paper, Fey Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Nat, Marius, Yini, Worm Syrup, Rask, Beef, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky, Addy14, the Ace of Raccoons, Blackjack, Rask again, Willie Pete, TG Dante, Linky again, Astro Pixie YT, and Balding Brick. I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna go stare at a bookshelf for an hour. Bye!